What's up folks, welcome back to another episode of Mr. Times Classic channel. I thought it'd be fun to do a video with a little bit more of a let's play feel to it, so I'm going to be exploring the heavily defended Temple of Hephaestos in the Athenian Agora. I'm going to be switching up between my normal commentary on interesting sites with some more of the action AC Odyssey has to offer. Let me know in the comments how you like this sort of thing, and consider dropping a like and subscribe to help the channel grow. So this is what I'm going after over here. It's the Temple of Hephaestos, which is located just above the Athenian Agora, or their marketplace here. It's located on top of this hill, known as the Kolonos Agorius Hill. And in the game it's just ridiculously well defended. The game's set during the Peloponnesian War in 431 BC, and essentially sites like this are being used as a garrison. So these purple icons here show essentially spoils of war, and the more of these that you take down, it will weaken a city-state, and then eventually that will trigger something called a conquest battle, which you can fight in, which is part of the Peloponnesian War. So essentially the game's got this really nice like geopolitical undertone to it. So my attempt is going to be, I'm going to try and talk about the Temple of Hephaestos here, whilst also focusing a bit more on gameplay and talk about Assassin's Creed Odyssey as well. I'm going to try and do this as stealthily as possible, but we'll see how well that works. So the temple is dedicated to Hephaestus. He's the god of metalworking and the forge. And it makes sense that it's located so close to the Agora. So you've got the marketplace over there where people are like selling their wares. And the temple of the god of craftsmen obviously up here, sort of almost overlooking them. So it's like really relevant. The temple survives to us really well. And that's partly because in about 700 AD it was converted to a Christian church. So it's always been sort of like a religious space and then therefore well maintained. It was built in 449 BC and took quite a while to construct. It was finished in about 415 BC. It's built as part of the Periclean building program, and essentially Athens was sacked during the Persian invasions. The Athenians deliberately left their city, and when they returned, a lot of their religious monuments had been destroyed by the Persians, most famously the Acropolis up there. So Pericles spares no expense in rebuilding these sites. They'd previously been left as sort of like a testament to the Athenian sacrifice, and then are later rebuilt. For two reasons. One, it's sort of seen as a bit sacrilegious and wrong to sort of leave these religious areas sort of destroyed. The god should have appropriate temples. But also it gave the Athenians a chance to sort of spend a lot of money and therefore glorify the city. And this was very contentious. They were spending money that was really meant to go on the protection of the Greek world from another Persian invasion. But by doing this, they were able to sort of say something about their skill, their wealth, their craftsmen, and where they were in Greek society. So I'm probably going to have a bounty hunter come after me as well. That'll make things a bit more interesting. So yeah, the temple's built during the Periclean building program, which just sort of, I think, is another reason it was so well crafted, because so much money has gone into it. So I really like this part of Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I mean, this isn't a quest, this isn't even a side quest. This is just me sort of taking over this garrison. And I think the game gets it really right in terms of like the gameplay is a really good mix between being really, you know, dramatic, in this case very acrobatic and interesting and engaging, but not being too rinse and repeat. You can really change up your fighting styles. This L1 sort of wheel at the left sort of allows for a lot more sort of variation in gameplay. And also, like, obviously this is a video game, but it still keeps a lot of historical accuracy to it. I mean, like, the armor and weaponry is really stylized and probably a bit over the top, but it's based still in Greek weaponry and what hoplites their soldiers would wear. So Greek soldiers would fight like this with a circular shield and a spear, especially when they're in the phalanx formation. But when they'd fight outside of formation, obviously they'd be using a sword like I'm trying to use here. Getting the bows and arrows out is a bit more, you know, part of the gameplay to add in the variety, but it's done still really well. I learned recently, like, the armor that the soldiers, these hoplite soldiers, would wear would normally be like the breastplate, like Alexius is wearing here, but often, like, Greek soldiers would have to pay for their own armour. And so when they did this, like poorer soldiers obviously wouldn't be able to afford like the lovely bronze breastplates inlaid with gold and all the rest of it. So they'd wear like these linen breastplates, and apparently if you weave linen in a certain way or you pad it out with something, it can make quite an effective armour. There we go. Let's see if we can get rid of the rest of these guys without much hassle. So I'm always a bit dubious playing games that like have skill trees like you've got here to advance your character, because they can become very sort of rinse and repeat and boring. But I don't know, maybe it's because I'm a classics teacher, but I just think Assassin's Creed Odyssey gets things really right. I've played Origins as well. Those are the two ones that I played the most. I've played some of the earlier games as well, but I feel like they get it really right here. This is where they really hit their stride. And yeah, this came out in 2018 and it still looks awesome. I still think it's a really pretty looking game. Okay. There we go. So I think I've been able to take out most of the guards at this point. So I'll say a little bit more about the decoration of the temple. It's what we call a hexastyle temple, which means it's got 6 columns at the front, and it's sculpted in something called the Doric order. Like that's the sort of order of Greek architecture it belongs to. That means the temples don't have these ionic scrolls at the top, and then we have these metopes, these square sculpted slabs, and then above that we have these areas, the triangular areas called a pediment. And this temple is quite interesting because it combines architectural orders. Underneath here, we'd also have a frieze, which is what you usually get on Ionic temples. And the decoration of the temple, in terms of like the subject matter, is quite interesting. So the pediments would show the birth of Athena, which we also see on the Parthenon up on the Acropolis over there. And then on the other side, we'd also have Hephaestus returning to Olympia. The frieze, so the Ionic elements, show Theseus fighting against the sons of Pallas. So they're essentially his cousins. They're the sons of Pallas, who was the brother of Aegeus, who's the king of Athens, and Theseus' dad. And they're basically fighting for the throne of Athens. And then on the other side, we have the Centromachi, so the centaurs fighting against the Lapiths. And the metopes showed the labours of Heracles and also the labours of Theseus. And because of all the iconography associated to Theseus, this temple was thought to be a temple at first dedicated to just Theseus. But later inscriptions inside the temple definitely link it with Hephaestus. So inside we have the cult statue of Hephaestus here. I think this is meant to be Hephaestus, although I don't see any of the iconography associated to him. And this temple would also have a cult statue of Athena, which makes sense because obviously she's patron deity of Athens. But it's kind of unusual for a temple to have 2 cult statues in it. And then inside we also have these panels that have been painted on. I don't know if that would be in the original. I don't think so, though I'm not sure. I'm not quite sure what these panels are meant to represent. I don't see any labours of Heracles or Theseus here, though I do see a lot of Athena. If you recognise them, please do let me know in the comments. So as I say, the temple was thought to be dedicated to Theseus. It even went by the name the Thesion for a while. And then later all the iconography and attributions to Hephaestus were found, and then it firmly plants it as a temple to the god of the forge and metalworking. So that now concludes my look at the Temple of Hephaestus. Let me know in the comments how you like this mix of gameplay and commentary, and if you've enjoyed the video, please do consider dropping a like and subscribe. It really does help the channel grow. I'll catch you guys all in the next one.